The Men in Black are real. The Men in Black, there's tons of stories about him, G. Do you really believe in the Men in Black?
I believe in Will Smith as the Men in Black.
I believe in Tommy Lee Jones as the Men in Black. But Dan Aykroyd,
who we all know and love,
claimed to seen the Men in Black.
I mean, he's had a bunch of encounters with not only UFOs, but also claims that, like you said, to have an encounter with the Men in Black.
And this is your favorite story of the Men in Black.
It is, just because it's such a big name actor and it's a big draw, just because he was working on a show for Sci-Fi Channel
called Out There, which never got released. It
No.
got canceled after this encounter with the Men in Black.
Supposedly.
Yeah, just before his cancellation of the show, Dan Aykroyd claims he stepped out of the studio while he was filming one of the last episodes for Out There for the Sci-Fi Channel.
Well, I turned away like this. I turned back, and there was a black Ford across the road, a black Ford sedan. And I was trying to look at the plate, and the plate seemed kind of like fuzzy, and I was, definitely a police car. And two guys were there, and a big, tall guy got out of the back seat.
Got a call from Britney Spears, of all people.
And literally, I was on the phone. Hey, sure, of course I'd love for the show. Saw the Ford, went back like this, turned back like a half second later. That car vanished. That car was a cloaked vehicle of some type.
What happened was, it was an 8-part series or 8-episode series that they sold to the Sci-Fi Channel. And he said they were filming the final episode. In one of the breaks between interviews, he steps outside, gets a call from Britney Spears, looks down 42nd Street in New York, and sees a black sedan. He said it looked like a cop car, typical FBI or whatever, Crown Vics. And he said a guy extremely tall, which almost seems to be like a theme of them.
It is a theme with them. Yeah, he said two gentlemen stepped out, very tall, pale, wearing black suits, your typical Men in Black counter.
And gave him the dirtiest look. And he said he looked down for a split second and looked back up, and the car was gone.
And he did say, one of the other claims did say he would try to get a view of the license plate, but it seemed fuzzy.
Which is kind of crazy. I don't know, maybe it doesn't have that good of a vision. I don't know, but it does seem perplexing that in a span of a couple seconds, a car that was on the street is now gone.
Yeah, and he said that he would have seen it turn in front of him onto another, 42nd Street or one of the avenues.
So he was
that
on
crossover.
42nd Street, so it was going towards Times Square, so it could have turned off on like 7th or 8th Avenue, but it was nowhere to be found.
It is interesting, out of all people that the Men in Black would visit, they didn't interact with him. They just stared at him.
Yeah,
and he said they gave him a dirty look. Other than that, they didn't interact with him. They didn't talk to him. But apparently 2 hours later, after this encounter happened, the studio said, "Hey,
the show's canceled.
The show's completely canceled,
and we're never going to air it."
Okay, that probably happens all the time. How many times have they filmed the pilot or a show and it never gets picked up?
I know, but they already sold it to the Sci-Fi Channel, and he also said they filmed 8 episodes of it. So why wouldn't you just put it out, especially now, like on streaming networks or on like YouTube or anything like that?
Well, yeah, that would be more of a thing to dive into and then see who actually owns the rights to the show itself.
Correct.
And then to see if Sci-Fi still owns it and then why they never aired it. But one of the biggest things why they didn't air it, it was made public that Dr. Stephen Greer of the Disclosure Project.
Correct. He was one of the producers or the people that, sold the show with Dan Aykroyd to Sci-Fi.
Right. And he was going to drop all this stuff about UFO witnesses, other insider information. Now, why not just kibosh that episode and then let the other episodes air? I don't know. This is weird. Like the only thing that weirded me out about this was the whole Dr. Stephen Greer connection to the Men in Black and then to Dan Aykroyd. Other than that, it just seems like one eyewitness seeing a strange... it's New York.
It is, but like if you go back to our very, very first episode of the Men in Black, right?
Right.
There's a couple pictures and photos. You could see like that black sedan, cop car looking, and guys in just full black suits.
I get that.
Standing there, and then like something peculiar happens, or witnesses to a UFO or an encounter. Or
would you say this is more
strange.
Coincidental than anything else, or this is just like, oh my God, we're connecting the dots way too much. We might be blowing this out of proportion.
Here's a couple things. Like my theory is it's Dan Aykroyd. actor, comedian, so he has a ton of influence over things. And if this show came out and they're like, holy crap, like Dan Aykroyd actually believes in this stuff, maybe it could be more mainstream. So maybe more people would be like, okay, yes, I've had this experience. I know this. I've seen the Men in Black, and more stuff would have came out. So maybe they're just trying to stop that.
I get it, but he's very into the occult. He's very into paranormal stuff. He's into ghosts, UFOs. Why not now, after all these years, release that? Or at least do another project, or come out and say...
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's never done like another project. He talks about it all the time on like different podcasts and everything like that. Interview these people again. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Men in Black, it really intrigues me. Like the whole Men in Black stories you have in the 1960s, that famous photograph where the Men in Black was standing in between two buildings in Newark, New Jersey, no less.
Yep.
Always back to Jersey. There is other encounters with the Men in Black. Also, one of my favorite stories happened up in Maine. A gentleman, another doctor, actually had encounter with the Men in Black and interacted with the Men in Black.
Yeah.
So are they aliens? Are they human? Are they a government organization?
Is that not that's not the one where they came in through the double doors and you see them in the video?
No, that's not.
So like that's another one that intrigues me as well.
Yeah, that was in the hotel.
Yep. The person working at the hotel, front desk manager, said like they weren't exactly like human-like.
And that's the whole thing. They're in these black suits. They're not human-like. They look like they're wearing a mask. They seem maybe like alien. They don't speak, perfect English. They don't have the best communication skills. They seem small. They seem timid. They seem otherworldly. But then that was my only thing with the Men in Black stories. Sometimes it seems like they're more alien-like. Sometimes they seem more governmental agent-like.
It's probably a mix of both, like we talked about before. And
aliens are working with the government.
I wouldn't put it past them.
So do you really believe this story? If you had to give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, you believe this story?
Yes, I do. There's no reason to make it up.
Unless you're trying to promote another piece of work or say, hey, like I'm into this stuff. We're going to make another Ghostbusters or not. I don't know if I believe this one.
So what do you think it is? Just a coincidence?
To me, I really want to believe this, but I don't know. I might have to give it a thumbs down. I don't know if I truly believe this one.
Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't know. Watch the video. Listen to Dan Aykroyd himself. We'll put it in the show notes. Let us know your thoughts. Do you believe in the Men in Black? Do you believe this story? Until next time,
stay spooky.
The Men in Black are real.
What?